Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! Last few days of the season edition.
Last few days of the season edition. Keith, how did we get here? How is this possible? It feels like the season just started.
Time's a never-ending loop.
Man.
That's all I can figure.
It's
really don't know.
Like it was a week ago. We were begging for the season to start. Now here we are. It's the end.
Yep. Yeah, it's really is crazy that this has like zipped by this quickly. Like it is just it's everything in life though. We have basically a month and a half left of school here in Florida, and that means we are in a month and a half. Our daughter is halfway through high school.
Oh my gosh.
I dropped her off at kindergarten a week ago, I swear. Like, I don't even understand.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay, we've got a lot going on, a lot that we need to get into on today's show. Obviously, we've got the playoff races to take a peek at. We will spin the wheel and take a look at who ultimately will get the number one pick. We'll see who has lottery luck today. We'll spin that tankathon wheel there. And don't forget to like this stream. Hey, hit the like button for us right now. Do a quick like spike and double check. Check to see if you are subscribed or not to the channel. If you are not,
yeah, do that too.
Please make sure you do hit that subscribe button. All right, Keith. Today's show, as always, on Fridays, we do a show that is essentially the audience's show. You guys tell us what to talk about. We're going to get into your questions, your comments. We'll start right here. Jermaine said, "Are teams hard capped at the first or second apron if they receive more money in a trade than they send out?" I guess technically the answer would be yes.
Yeah, but it's the first apron.
It's the first apron, but if you're hard capped to the first apron, you can't get to the second apron anyway. So yes, but it is indeed the first apron that you would be hard capped at, which, Keith, I know you and I have both said that if we were going to tweak anything in the current CBA, it would probably be that rule, just because it makes it so much more challenging for two teams above the first apron to trade with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. But those teams are still getting it done, right? Like they find a way. Jurassic Park, life finds a way. So I think I'd still be in favor of making it the second apron versus the first apron. But if it's not the end of the world here, so it's been okay so far.
Jurassic Park style, life finds a way. That's it. The teams that are I don't want to say the hoarders, but the possessors of cap flexibility have benefited from this rule because teams have needed more third teams coming into deals, and then they are incentivizing those third teams to take on salary in order to follow the rules in order to create a trade. So that's the other piece to this, is that if you are a team that has financial flexibility, it's another advantage for you.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's in what you're going to see. We've already seen some of this is teams, they're not going to go crazy with this, but their teams are going to sign guys specifically as tradable salary. If it's somebody like, okay, we're happy to have the player back for 12 million, 15 million, they're still very tradable. Great. Give them 15 million. Gives us a little bit more to use in trade, especially if they're not dealing with apron issues of their own or anything like that. There's no reason to not do that and just give yourself, make things a little bit easier to get through.
It's part of why that we saw, the Jonathan Kuminga standoff with the Warriors was all about them wanting to make sure that his contract was as tradable as possible, right? Teams are starting to look at players in some ways as like walking trade exceptions in order to work within this system. Keith, you said you wouldn't, this comment said you wouldn't get a Celtics tat for a Celtics ring, but you got to at least get a Baylor mullet if it happens.
The good news is I probably could pull off a mullet because it does get long and curly back there, and there's not a whole lot left on top, so I probably could pull off a mullet.
Did you, in the 80s, did you rock the mullet?
No. I had a bowl cut for a while, like a pretty severe, looked like they just put a bowl on my head and trimmed around.
Did you do the early 90s part down the middle thing?
Nope.
Do you remember that?
Nope.
Okay. I
didn't do that either.
I had the mullet in the 80s. I also did the early 90s. Maybe it was just Southern California soccer thing, but I did the whole part down the middle and the bowl cut style, but parted down the middle and all of that.
So since questions are coming in a little slower today. I'll tell a quick hair-related story.
Ooh.
In my senior year, playing on the basketball team, school would end, and then most of the time, the freshman team would play right after school, then the JV, then the varsity game. He had to be back for the start of the JV game. Like, that was our coach's rule. So the freshman game, we could go. A lot of people would go get food and stuff. One day we all went to this one kid's house, and his girlfriend was there, and she was like, I have hair dye. We should dye all your hair. Well, of course, geniuses we thought that was a great idea. So what we decided to do, though, was let's only dye like the top part, and then we'll all put hats on.
Why?
Because we were stupid. Because like we all knew like we're gonna get yelled at if we don't. So
we'll just wear hats forever.
Yeah. So you put a hat on. So then we get back to school, sitting there for the first half of the JV game. Then at halftime of the JV game, we would go to the locker room, get changed, do our pregame meeting with the coaches, and then we go out and warm up. Well, the geniuses we were like, oh, we can't wear hats when we go out to warm up. So we come out to warm up, and of course, all of our parents are all just sitting there, and they are like a string of moms comes down to the court while we're going through the layup line, yelling at us, like, "What is wrong with you guys? Like, what did you do?" So yeah, there was the one and only time my hair has ever been partially blonde, and it was only just this top part. This part down here was still brown for reasons unknown because I was an idiot.
I fully did the bleached blonde late 90s, early 2000s things. I did that for a while.
Well, you were a California kid.
I was a California kid. I did the super spiky hair, the bleached hair.
I love it.
Yeah, all the stuff. At one point, I dyed it black with blue. And it did all the things. Just say, hey, I was.
Did you ever shave your number into the side of your head?
No, I didn't.
Was that a thing?
No, never did that.
Oh, that was a big thing here. You'd shave your sports number into the side of your head, like a haircut. So, or right, the 3 lines. The 3 lines were.
Oh, the 3. Yeah, I remember. There were some people who did that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go here. Free agency question. If you extend a qualifying offer to an impending free agent, does the lower qualifying offer amount count against the cap, or is it still the higher cap hold? Talking about Ben Mathurin.
Cap hold. So it's always the higher amount that counts. So it would be the cap hold. What can change is sometimes the qualifying offer would be greater than the cap hold. That's only in the case of restricted free agents, obviously. But if their qualifying offer amount is going to be greater than the cap hold amount, then it becomes the same as the qualifying offer. But it's always the highest number.
All right. This one, do you think anyone's going to sign Cam Thomas or Terry Rozier? Not any playoff teams. They're not playoff eligible. And with
no one's ever going to sign Terry Rozier again.
Yeah. I mean, just in general.
Yeah.
Any player in the situation of getting waived after March 1st, unlikely they're going to get signed unless it's a non-playoff bound team that says we want to get a look at this guy ahead of next year. But obviously with 3 days here remaining in the NBA season, nobody's going to sign those guys right now anyway. But those guys are not playoff eligible. And that's before we get into the whole Terry Rozier situation and all of that. No team obviously is going to go down that path.
Yeah, and he'll be Shams reported he'll be waived today. I would expect it'll be one of their 2-way guys that gets signed. Which one? That's your guess is as good as mine.
If the Lakers choose not to pick up on Dalton Connect's team option as there ain't dead money in the books, they already chose. They had to decide back in October, and they picked up the team option for next year. So he is under contract next year at $4.2 million, as I recall off the top of my head. So that's already done. That's the way it works with the rookie contracts.
Yeah, it's basically a year in advance that those have to be picked up, and then you're right, it's $4.2 million. Whether or not they pick up 6.5 for 27, 28, that I would say is very much in the balance. But yeah, and then is there any dead money? I mean, if they just waived him, sure, but they wouldn't do that. They'd move him in a trade first.
Yeah. Derek White has to pick it up for Boston. He is not playing near the level that he did last year. I mean, Boston's doing pretty well, but
he's shooting very poorly, though.
Could he be
he's
a
under
playoff
40%
riser
on the year? Oh, want to hit the breaking news?
Yeah.
Lakers news.
Oh, all right. Here we go.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Urgent and horrifying news story. The Lakers have waived Kobe Buffkin, and this opens up a roster spot for the Lakers to evaluate a signing over the weekend. We've been talking about this, Keith, that this may happen. That the Lakers may look, they're searching for players that they could actually put into a playoff game. And the sense was that Drew Timme has played fairly well, that he, or perhaps Nick Smith Jr. would be somebody that they would want to bump up off of a two-way contract so they could have them available for the playoffs, and that this could ultimately wind up being the path they go down. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you're convinced that Kobe Buffkin will not play for you, really, unless he is the absolute last option to put in the game, then yeah, fill yourself out with somebody that you think may play. Like,
now,
it just makes sense.
This also opens up the possibility that they could go sign someone who was waived prior to March 1st, which would be like a Chris Paul or someone like that. Now, I'm not saying that is I think the likely scenario would be they bump up one of their two-way guys to a full roster spot so they are eligible to participate in the playoffs. That, I think, is the more likely outcome here. But it also opens the door for the possibility of signing somebody who was waived prior to March 1st.
Yeah, and so I pulled this up. AP Hoop says, what is the purpose of waiving Rozier now to sign someone? Won't that new player not be available for the playoffs? That's only guys who are waived after March 1st. So if you were just a free agent or you're a two-way player or you are someone in the G League, you're fine to play. You can sign those guys all the way through Sunday. And as long as they're on the roster Sunday, they'll be eligible if they are eligible. So someone like Cam Thomas or now Terry Rozier, Kobe Buffkin, those guys would not be eligible to play in the postseason. But like Chris Paul or any of these guys that have been on 10 days. 10 days work different because you don't waive a 10-day player. The contract expires. But yeah, those guys are also eligible. It's common kind of misconception that March 1st is the last day to sign someone. It's the last day to waive someone.
What would you do if you're the Lakers? Would you go after like a Chris Paul type player who's very much, who knows what he's been doing since he has been out of the league, if he's been training or what that looks like? Would you go after that type of player, or would you bump up one of the two-way guys like a Nick Smith Jr., Drew Timme, one of those?
Yeah, I'd probably go with one of the two-way guys. I think it is a little interesting because my first thought was well, Nick Smith could fill more of a role just as a guy who can get hot and score some points, but then the Lakers don't have a ton of center depth either. I think you're more covered there would just go small or play Kleba at the 5 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably go with Nick Smith Jr. because I don't know that any free agents are standing out as man, this guy's ready to go. Now, if they wanted to bring in Chris Paul for a workout today or tomorrow, it's hey, Chris Paul looks awesome and we really want another veteran ball handler. I had no issue if that was the direction they go. I kind of think it won't be. But I know you're going to get buried in this as the day goes along. Why not Cam? Why not Cam? It's not eligible for the playoffs. You don't need him for the last 2 games. So.
No, you're not going to sign anybody. They play tonight. You're not going to sign anybody right now, fly them to LA and say, here's a basketball, go jump on the court. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that when there's 2 games left in the regular season. This is not about the regular season. This is about positioning for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. We just don't know if there's already in our chat, I'm sure it's all over social media. I saw it underneath the post. We don't know if Chris Paul, what he's been doing. If Chris Paul's been sitting on the couch and eating Cheetos for the last 2 months, Chris Paul's probably not ready to play, but who knows?
Yep. It's something that, look, I'm of the mindset that you leave no stone unturned. And if you want to give Chris Paul a look, great. Give Chris Paul, bring him in. Doesn't hurt anybody to work him out. Bring him in. See what he looks like. But most likely, we're going to see this spot go to Drew Timme. We're going to see this spot go to Nick Smith Jr. One of those two, Chris Mignon. Keith, they did one of those things last night where Chris Mignon was sitting, was at the scorer's table ready to check in for 2 minutes, and there were no stoppages. And at one point, he just kind of sat down, and I felt so bad for the guy. He couldn't get into the game.
Did you ever read the Jordan rules
No.
back in the day when you were a kid? So
When MJ was getting ready to check in, make sure you don't foul.
No, it wasn't that. It was Scott Williams, who was like the Bulls' backup center, barely ever played. MJ, who very famously wasn't always kind to his teammates, very kind to Scott Williams because he went to UNC. So like he was like his young big man. He was a big fan of his. Well, there was a game just before Christmas. Scott Williams had already been down because he was going to be away from home and away from his family for the first time at Christmas. He waited like 3.5 minutes to check in, and there was no whistles, so he didn't get to play. And he was sobbing, and like there's a quote in there about MJ like went over to him. He's like, "Come on, Scotty, let's go. You're coming home with me." And it was like the rare moment like Michael Jordan showed any tenderness. That book is awesome because Sam Smith got like super insider access to the Bulls for basically 2 seasons to write that book, and it's really, really good.
Very cool. Very cool.
Just on this question,
yeah,
he is eligible. So when a player says I'm retiring, the only time there's any kind of complications with that is if they walk away from a contract. Chris Paul did not do that because he was no longer under contract because he had been waived and cleared waivers. So once that happens, the only time is if they've actually filed paperwork with the league, which Chris Paul presumably has not done yet. So should be no issue if they wanted to sign Chris Paul or if anybody wanted to.
Right. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Whoops. I read Keith's article regarding Sacramento with being first apron team. Do they just tank again for next year?
They will not. So this is how bad the Sacramento Kings roster management has been. When Zach LaVine, and yes, I'm using when Zach LaVine picks up his $48 million player option, when that happens, they will be over the first apron, which is completely like that's inexcusable for a team that is bad as the Kings are. So when they do that, they will not finish that way. They will shed salary one way or another and get out from underneath the luxury tax entirely. Otherwise, like fire everybody involved because that's just really like that's malfeasance at that point. So, but yeah, they now will they tank again next year? They probably should. I mean, my pitch was trade everybody who has any kind of value. You don't even need to win all these trades. You just need to like get the money off your books. So Sabonis, LaVine, DeRozan if you can, DeAndre Hunter if you can. Get that money off your books and then just start over with a good high draft pick in this draft and just fully rebuild. And I think you got to give the fans some kind of hope.
Agreed. That's the one thing in Sacramento. And that's why as much of an anti-talent, more talent going to the West person as I am, and selfishly so, I feel bad for Sacramento. They've really hung in there for the long haul here. This has been obviously a tough go for fans in Sacramento right now. So we'll see what happens with them in the draft.
I'm gonna pull this real quick. I have no idea. What a weird. This might be among the weirder questions we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How do you get into that?
Science, be a pilot in the military, I think is always a good way. So
yeah.
My mute button doesn't work.
Yeah. Were you thinking you were muting?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's awful. I am so sorry, everybody. It flashes at me and everything.
Yeah, it's not. We can definitely hear you.
Oh my gosh, I'll use the mute and the thing. I am so sorry, like because somebody commented on like every time you clear your throat. I am so sorry. I'm sitting here like I have something stuck in my throat. I'm like trying to get it out. So sorry, I'll use the mute on the.
Use it on the platform here. Try that.
I guess my mute button is broken on my mic.
Let's see. Try now. Okay, that one works.
All right, I'll use that one on the software. I am so sorry. That's the worst. Now I feel like that guy in the commercial where he's like, "Stupid idiots giving us this project." I'm like, "Actually, your mute button." Oh my
I thought you
goodness,
were
I feel so
dying.
bad.
I was like, oh no.
Shit.
Oh man. There it is. Now it works. Now it works. Oh man. Okay. We got plenty to get into here.
Just move on. This is a mess. Show is off the rails.
Keith, did you see my text? Are you good? Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I need to.
Trevor's going to
get
hit the master lock the mute button.
Master lock the mute button. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I will be right back, everybody. Keith is gonna hang out, but I will be right back. Keith's gonna take over the questions here, and I'll be back in just a minute.
All right, let's see. I think we're on the Derek White one. Derek White, I'll pull it back up from Robert Bruce from Scotland that fought with William Wallace. Derek White has to pick it up for Boston, not playing near the level he did last year. That's 100% true. He is not playing at that level. He is not shot well all year. He's under 40% from the field. Like down in the low 30s from three. He's doing everything else at a very high level. Defense has been incredible. His playmaking has been really good. All the intangibles are there with him, but yeah, he's got to pick up the shooting. Celtics definitely need him. Let's see. Foreign Blue Kevin says one indication of how egregious tanking has become this year is how big the gap between the 10 and 11 seeds are. Milwaukee and New Orleans are more than 10 games back. Yeah, it's pretty bad this year for sure. Sen Payne. How do contracts work with expansion drafts? Say Fox. I'm assuming that means De'Aaron Fox. So in an expansion draft, if the team, so let's just use De'Aaron Fox, Spurs leave him out there. Seattle picks De'Aaron Fox. They assume his contract as is from the Spurs. So 40, let's just say 50 million. Let's just call it 50 million. They take that on. The Spurs then get a traded player exception for the amount of the player that they lost. So in this case, $50 million trade exception for losing De'Aaron Fox there. Eric Dane says it's interesting having a show hosted by a Lakers fan and a Celtics fan. You get a balanced viewpoint of both good and evil. You're correct. Yeah, the good guys in green and the bad guys in purple. You're absolutely right. Just me, or did the post All-Star break half of the season go way quicker than the first half? Challenge there is it's really more like third. It's more like 2/3 of the season because the All-Star break falls in the middle of the entire season. So the October to June portion of the season, that's where it falls, or really October to July. With this, so it's that's that's kind of how that goes there. And Wesley, do you find yourselves feeling a little depressed as the postseason ends, or does all the salary cap machinations, roster movement fill the actual void of games? Little bit of both. Yeah, I get bummed out when we get into the conference finals, and there's not necessarily a game every day. Because I've said this before, as much as I love all the roster stuff and all that, my favorite thing about basketball is basketball. So that part does bum me out when we don't have necessarily a game every day. And then when we get into June and the first part of July and then through summer league, it's generally okay because we're super busy with all the transaction stuff. And then we're there with the with summer league. Post summer league, I can speak for Trevor for this. That is not great for him. He struggles in like August and September when there's just not much happening. With that, I tend to turn to other projects and things, but it's tough. Do I buy the Celtics' interest in Giannis? Wouldn't that include Brown in that trade? Yeah, I think the interest is probably all 29 teams would be interested in Giannis, right? It would be in a place where it is like, yeah, let's go get Giannis if we can, and you make the call and figure that out. But from like, would it have to include Brown? doesn't have to. There's paths to getting Giannis that wouldn't have to include Brown or Tatum. Those are the easiest paths. I just don't think it's nothing I would do, and it's nothing Celtics will do. As a Connecticut native, this is from Cassandra M. So sad to see the Sun go. Disappointed with Adam Silver's decision given Boston co-owner proposed a larger offer. Very weird to me. Yeah, it is weird to me and a lot of people back home in the New England area as well that the team has to be moved now. Like a lot of people are not real happy with that. So I think that is it's definitely a thing, but maybe they'll get an expansion team down the line. I think that would be the hope. At least what they approved yesterday. Detroit, Cleveland, and Philly was officially announced as expansion teams coming up for the WNBA. So growth, good for everybody. They got a really nice CBA done with pretty big increases for the players' pay and a lot of other things. So think we're moving in the right direction. Feels like the V and MVP doesn't mean as much as it used to. Best player and MVP are two separate things. Feel like they need an OPO award, like outstanding player or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why the Final Four, they always say they do most outstanding player, because then you're picking the player who played the best, because valuable vet best can definitely be a discussion point. I was saying last night, Lakers might bring in an eligible free agent help with first round playoff depth, even if it's an 8th, 9th rotation guy. Challenge is, even with that, you're going to have a hard time finding someone who can step right in and play for you. So I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be how that goes. Could the Lakers buy a second-round pick? Yeah, they can. It will hard cap them at the second apron, though. If you use cash in a trade, you are hard capped at the second apron. That's to avoid teams that are already above the second apron just buying draft picks to fill out their roster. So, but the Lakers, they've done that several years where they've moved up via paying cash to move up. Thoughts on the report by O'Connor of Silver being enthusiastic about the idea of worsening the odds? Yeah, I think could help a little bit. I don't know that it doesn't just move the goalpost a little there. All right, because I'm going to scroll up and try to find some other questions. So give me 1 second. I'm going to actually properly mute real quick. The mute button not working on my mic is going to take a while. I'm going to have to switch out and get another mic here. Trevor is recording a Lakers Nation video right now. Yes, on Kobe Buffkin News. So yeah, that is happening right there. Let's see. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox, I don't think would be available in an expansion draft. He is pretty good. Lakers will just sign Nick Smith Jr. Yeah, quite possible that is the way that goes. Anti-tanking does make me worry that players won't be able to get any rest against bad teams. It might increase the risk of injury. You'll still be able to pull it off. You're just gonna have to be a little more smooth about it there. I'm guessing this is about Derek White. I don't think his confidence is shot because he's not hesitating to shoot. I think he's just having a bad shooting year. I think the first part of the year, he was having to take a lot of contested shots off the dribble because obviously no Jason Tatum, and it was kind of Jaylen Brown was the lead creator, and he can only do so much by himself. So Derek White fell into that role. I think since Tatum has come back, my hope is we would see White shoot better. He hasn't necessarily. Peyton Pritchard has shot a lot better because he's getting a lot more spot-up shots and knocking them down. White just hasn't come around yet, but I trust him. I'm hopeful he'll still come back around here. I hope you're good, Keith and Trev. Hopefully you can come to England in the future for NBA Europe. Yeah, I'd be all about that. So I would definitely be all about that. So did I drop the S-bomb? I apologize for any little ears here. There. So thoughts on Cole Anthony? I mean, he's okay. He didn't really play much for the Bucks, so I'm really not sure. That would be how that would go. Expansion question as a UK fan. Your different tax rates state to state. Does that change how much players desire to sign? I heard Seattle would struggle as they have some weird tax. I don't know about the last part of that, Andrew, but the tax rates are different from state to state. And then like Florida and Texas, there's no state income tax there. So you don't get charged for that. It does not make the difference that it's talked about. If it did, the Magic, the Heat, the Mavericks, the Rockets, and the Spurs would crush free agency if it was like, oh my gosh, you keep so much more of your money. There are things called jock taxes too, and then there are like tax levelers a little bit in the CBA that works out so that those places don't have a overly unfair advantage with that. Who are the players behind me? The action figures. That is the original Dream Team starting lineup figures. You'll notice there's only 10. When that set came out, it was before they had named Clyde Drexler and Christian Laettner to the team. So that's the original Dream Team. And then move it up if I can. There's the Dream Team up there too. The picture of the Dream Team with all of them. And the players with Drexler and Laettner added at the end of the poster, the players are in the same order that they are in the picture there. So now everybody's going to get seasick from me moving my camera around. Somebody asked to see too the Wemby jersey. So there it is. It's kind of lights are on it, but there's the Wemby jersey hanging on the wall too. So there's my little tour of my office there, and then some books that I basketball books. Those honestly were just on my desk when I moved offices, but over the summertime, I'm going to really redo a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to get a background behind me and all kinds of things. So more for that to come. With expansion coming in a couple of years, does that mean 2 new G League teams? Yeah, very likely. That'll probably be, my guess is that'll be a condition of expansion, is that the two expansion teams establish G League teams, because that's, the NBA wants everybody to have their own G League team. It took them a while to get there with Portland and Phoenix, but they eventually got there, and that finished. So Phoenix had one, then didn't have one. But those were 2 of the last ones. I think the last one prior to that was Denver. We've already talked through, like, could the Lakers sign Chris Paul? I mean, so would they take a flyer on either the 2-way chance guys, take a flyer on Chris Paul? Challenge is if Chris Paul wants to play, that's part 1. And if Chris Paul is in shape to play, that's 2. So that would become like you got to answer those 2 questions affirmatively, and then we'll kind of go from there with that. So it's but we don't know if Chris Paul, where he's even at with that. So if Chris Paul doesn't want to play or he's not in shape to play, Lakers are better off going with somebody else, because there's no point bringing in somebody who doesn't want to do it. Were the Suns not the worst run franchise in terms of practice facilities and the like? I don't know if I would say worse, but they were definitely near the bottom. Practice facilities weren't good. They didn't have a G League team for a long time. And the G League team is just a matter of the ownership group spending money. Really, that's ultimately what it comes down to. What Kings players would teams even want, since they don't have any good contracts for teams trading for those players? Maybe Monk. Yeah, Monk's definitely part of it. I think would be one of the guys you could probably get something decent for. But I would say to the right team, Levine on an expiring contract could have a lot of value. If it's a team that's like, man, we really need scoring. Any way we can get it, a guy like Levine could help, and he's an expiring deal. Maybe you can get off a contract you don't like as much. And if you're Kings, maybe that's the way you increase your return, is by saying, hey, we'll take that contract you don't like, and you get this expiring contract for a guy who can maybe play for you. That would be there. Why not give the bottom 10 teams the same odds? Yeah, that's one of the things that's been thrown out there, is just make it a truly flat lottery with the teams that are eliminated right away. So could be with that one. Let's see here. Can the Lakers get JJJ, so Jaren Jackson Jr., I assume, in a trade? The Jazz just acquired him. I mean, you can't get him now. It would have to be in the summertime, and the Jazz got him to get him. Like they're like definitely there. So like they're not going anywhere. Yeah, the whole mute thing, man, that threw me off. I guess it's been broken for a while too. I have a backup mic I'll start using instead. Let's see. You have Marcus Smart coming back, and with Kennard's up level of play, would it make much sense to bring in Nick Smith? Drew Timmy would likely be a better choice, seeing his recent success. Yeah, it really comes down to what do you want? For that, do you want Nick Smith for more backcourt punch, or do you want Drew Timmy for more front court depth? So either way, neither one is really wrong. I wouldn't say. Oh, this is a good question. Who's my favorite Laker right now? It's Marcus Smart. It's not even close. He's probably the only guy I would actively root for. I don't root against guys on there. Hey, he's back.
Hey, I'm back. Okay.
I don't root against guys, but yeah, Marcus Smart would be my favorite current Laker. Favorite Laker of all time. I don't think I have one. I don't know. Rick Fox, but that's only because he was a Celtic too.
I was going to say.
There we go.
I've got Stu, the studio cat, is going crazy at my feet right now. He is demanding pets currently.
Which team or teams have the most to lose in an early playoff exit?
Ooh.
Cavs or Knicks, probably?
Yeah, I was going to say Knicks.
No.
Yeah, Cavs too. Those are expensive teams that would probably be at a point where they would say, okay, we've got to make some kind of significant change this summer should things not go well. And then like in the chat, somebody said the Orlando Magic. Yeah, that's another team, right? We're just very expensive for next year. And that could certainly be something that, that creates some problems if they're an early out. And I wouldn't project them to get through the first round right now. I would think they're going to be the underdog against
in the first round.
You think they don't even survive the play-in?
No, I think they will, but it's like not
a guarantee.
Feel super confident on it. Like I feel like Phoenix is definitely going to get through the play-in in the West, but I don't feel anywhere near that confident in the in anybody in the East with that.
Sure.
Still funny. Leitner was on the Dream Team. Yeah, they're asking me about the figures behind me in the starting lineup.
Remember, was the big debate was Leitner or Shaq?
Yep.
And then they went with, and in hindsight, you think, how did you go with Leitner over Shaq? Like it's Shaq,
They did, well, what they just, anybody doesn't know, they decided to go with whoever won Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And Leitner won Player of the Year. But the behind the scenes story was they didn't feel like Shaq would be as amenable to, hey, you're carrying bags and getting donuts.
Right.
And doing all that stuff. And Leitner was. So, any other basketball memorabilia? I just pulled this out the other day.
Ooh.
Colin Murray Boyles, and it's game used jersey card.
Oh.
So let's hope Colin Murray Boyles pops, and then I'll buy the front office studio when I sell the card.
There we go.
So
there we go.
Yeah, I went a little crazy with collecting basketball cards for a minute, and then I stopped because it was getting to be too much.
All right, let's see. Do we have any starred that you didn't get to?
Stupid mute button.
I wasn't going to say anything.
This was the only one.
Do I still own a No Fear shirt? I do not still. I do have shirts for, like, I put on a pair of basketball shorts the other day and I went, oh my God, these basketball shorts are like 25 years old. I've had these for a long time.
A couple of those.
But no, I do not own any No Fear shirts anymore.
My favorite No Fear shirt was it was a soccer ball just sitting in the like on grass, and it said no pads, no helmets, just balls. we came down here and played in it was a basketball tournament when I was in high school. Down here is the AAU Nationals, and me and my friend who was also we both played on the soccer team too. We bought like 20 of those shirts and brought them back, and then we all wore them around school. The whole soccer team.
I remember those. I had some that were, I can't remember what what was written on them, but I did have some of those. Those were epic back in the day. Those were awesome. All right, let's go.
What was the other one? Was Big Dog Sportswear?
Big Dog. Yep,
You can't run with the big dog. Stay on the porch.
that's right.
All right, I'll star a few of these now that you're back.
Okay. Did you do the one on the Kevin O'Connor report about the silver tanking?
Yep.
You did that
Yep.
one.
If you
What
got
do you-
thoughts, go ahead.
What I love the idea.
I
think
don't hate it.
I think it's a really interesting way to at least curb the worst of the tanking, and it's a very tough needle to thread trying to land specifically in the in this case, let's say you made the cutoff at 3, trying to specifically hit 4th to have the highest lottery odds. That's much more difficult than let's just lose as many games as possible and hopefully get all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, my one fear is you're just moving the
Sure.
bar, I guess. Like that part,
But it's as somebody who's concerned that they're going to overcorrect, I think this is like a subtle tweak that maybe adjust things enough without overdoing it, I guess is the point.
Mm-hmm. Softball is such a misnamed sport. We actually only flagged this because we had this exact conversation in the car like 2 days ago. My daughter and I.
That the ball is not soft at all.
Yeah, it's not soft at all. And like it terrifies me if you watch like high level college softball. They come in so close on the corners that it's just like it feels like, you catch a rocket off the bat, like you're gonna be in trouble.
You're in bad shape if that happens.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I flagged a bunch.
Okay. Do you own jerseys, Keith?
No, Wembenyama jersey. That was a gift to me by my boy Scott this past Christmas. So I very, very much appreciate it. Jerseys to own? No. I have a staunch, like, grown men should not wear basketball jerseys, like, outside of the house. And if they do, they should be worn under, like, with a T-shirt underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're fat like me. Nobody needs to see that. That's disgusting. Keep that inside where it should be locked down under lock and key with the blinds closed and the lights off.
So I do own. I've got somewhere. I don't know where it is. I have an Andrew Bynum jersey somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Right? Yeah, I have an Andrew Bynum jersey somewhere. I also have a Pau Gasol jersey. I've got a Kobe jersey. Of course, I've got a Magic jersey, a LeBron jersey, and a playoff Rondo jersey.
I was big into jerseys when I was a kid. Like, I loved them, and that's what I wore like all like summer long. But no, not letting my grow.
My issue with them though is like I never wear them because I'm always worried. Like that's what if I'm gonna wear a tank top anyway, which I do during the summer. I wear a lot of tank tops. I'm always worried to put a jersey on because then I'm gonna spill something on it. So I wind up just never actually wearing them. And so I've kind of stopped buying jerseys because I'm like, well, now I know I'm never going to wear it. If I ever feel like wearing a tank top, I'm just going to put a tank top on. I'm not going to put on a jersey and risk it. So my money is not best spent on jerseys.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do have an Aaron Judge jersey, but like baseball jerseys are different. Like you just kind of throw that on.
Baseball, soccer, like I've got an LA Galaxy jersey, stuff like that. Like that.
I have a Brady jersey that somehow still fits, but I don't have I almost bought a Drake May one, but then I don't know if you saw Fanatics was like out of jerseys. You could not buy them. Patriots
really?
Seahawks out of the Super Bowl unless you bought the one with the Super Bowl patch on them. And I was like, I am not buying it with the Super Bowl patch because if they lose, which they did, like I'll just throw this away. It's so funny. I just cleaned out my closet. And with that, I had a whole like they were in a box, but it was a bunch of old T-shirts in there. So Vinny, I think I've probably told people this before. I went to the Super Bowl where the Pats lost the undefeated season against the Giants in Arizona. We were living in Southern California at the time. We bought tickets on Friday, and then we drove over there.
Took
Saturday,
the 10 all the way out.
Good morning. Yep. Over. Picked up the tickets, went to the game, picked up the tickets, went to the Super Bowl experience, which is like this like mobile theme park almost that they set up in the stadium parking lot. Had a great time. Hated the end of the Super Bowl. Had all this stuff that we bought, and Danielle wouldn't let me throw it away. That's my wife. Would not let me throw it away. And she was like, no, we shouldn't throw it away. And I was like, I am never going to wear any of this stuff. Because I was honestly up there with one of the worst nights of my life.
Because
I was like, nope, I'm out.
Mad.
And I ultimately ended up taking it. It finally, years later, when I cleaned out the closet, I found all that stuff and I went right direct. I didn't even donate those. I threw them right.
Just threw it away.
Trash. Yep.
Tough memories there. Tough memories
Where's
there.
Trevor? I don't know who this is without a hat.
I've been doing it more often, not wearing a hat.
That's what you do a video the other day.
Yeah. It tends to be I wear hats when I'm particularly tired. Like I've already got the bags under the eyes all the time, which drives me crazy. But if I'm tired at all, like if I'm really, then it gets really bad. So then that's a lot of times where I'll throw the hat on because then it like kind of covers it a little bit and people don't notice it as much.
We do earlier shows and we have a hat on. There's also a good chance neither one of us has had a chance to shower yet.
That is true too. That is also very true. There's a lot of those times too. Of your favorite team, who is your favorite that never won a championship? Myself as a Nets fan, I have two: the 91-93 Nets, 91-93, and the 2012-2013 Nets.
I know this one easy for me. 2002 Boston Celtics. I moved here. That's when I moved away from home for the first time. Like I had stayed home for, grew up, went to school near home, and then came and did an internship, but that was like 6 months, then left, and then came back. But this was it. Like I was moving away from home. And the 2002 Celtics went to the Eastern Conference Finals very unexpectedly. And that team was my link to home. It was my reason to call my friends back home, talk to my parents and all that. So that was, absolutely that team I'll remember. Way ahead of their time. They shot a crazy amount of 3-pointers per game, like 20 back then.
Like 20.
It was a fun team.
I will go with the 96-97 Lakers. Obviously that was when they started their run of running into the Utah Jazz in the playoffs and bouncing out at that point. Then it took all the way until 2000 for them to break through. But that was rookie Kobe. That was first year of Shaq. But then you still had a rookie Derek Fisher. But you also had some really interesting players on this roster, including guys like Eddie Jones, who is one of my favorite all-time Lakers, and Nick the Quick Van Exel. I thought that team was really interesting. I still, even though they won a championship, I still question whether or not they should have traded Eddie Jones and think that could have been something really special for the long-term future of the club. So that was, I thought, a fun team. It was a blending of like the Lake Show era and the new Shaq and Kobe era together with guys like Nick the Quick and Eddie Jones and stuff. So that was a really fun Lakers team. So I'm going to go with that one.
I was a big Nick Van Exel fan.
Yeah.
I liked the way he played. He was small and could score a ton. So he was really fun, man. I think this question is in relation to how much we paid for those Super Bowl tickets. Considerable amount of money that I wish I had back. Well, but that was we were married. We both had really good jobs, and we did not have a kid yet, nor a house. So it was like, remember expendable income back in the day?
Those were the days.
Yeah. Now I might as well just give it all away as soon as I get it.
Keith, do you have any new thoughts on Austin Reeves' contract now that he is? Yeah. Let's say we have seen the last of Austin Reeves if he is not able to make it back. What does that mean?
I think if you're the Lakers, you start high but not quite a max. I think if you're Austin's team, you start max and then you try to split the difference somewhere. So like he had him like 38 maybe instead of 41 or so. Like feel like you start 32, 33 and come up a little bit. And that's just to protect just in case this injury ravaged season becomes a thing. Then at least you're not stuck in a max. But I'm not going to mess around too much with this one, especially it's easy to say because it's not my money. Since we were just talking about money, that's really ultimately all it'll come down to. Because what he's going to get paid considerably more than his cap hold. So that means they're going to do all their offseason work, then get Austin done officially done near one of the last moves. So it's not like having him is going to cost them from going out and signing somebody else unless they get really super cheap with this. And I don't think they will with the new ownership group. So I think it'll be, I wouldn't mess around if it starts getting like, hey, you know what? You guys are screwing around. We're going to go talk to other teams. I would just be like, all right, if he needs the max, I'd just give it to him.
I think it's important to remember that, like their spending power this summer is not going to change if he gets 30 million or if he gets 40 million. It's not going to change their spending power this summer. That said, you do have to be careful in today's NBA. You don't wind up with a negative value contract. Teams are so allergic to negative value contracts that it's tough to move them. It's tough to move. So you got to be very careful with the number. But at the same time, you also can't lose him. You can't lose him. That would be devastating. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out this summer.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Yep.
Run.
All right. Let's take a look at this. Are you following the Masters at all this weekend? No, not at all. I didn't even know it was this weekend. To be honest, I had no idea. My involvement in golf was for like a month. My friends and I would go to the driving range when Happy Gilmore came out. That was about just to see if we could do that swing. That was about it. I do not follow golf at all whatsoever. So yeah, I literally had no idea. I don't know. Keith, do you follow golf at all?
No.
Okay. I was just saying, he said, are you following the Masters this weekend? I said, I didn't even know it was this weekend.
Yeah, no, I knew it was this weekend. I used to, the Masters, not that I followed it. I would get pulled in when like Tiger was playing really well. I like a lot of people on the last couple of days. But golf used to be fun to turn on in like March and April when it might still be snowing back home in Massachusetts, because it was always like, oh, this is just these beautiful, golf courses, and it's bright and sunny and grass and things we haven't seen for months here in New England. But yeah, I don't follow golf very much. So, and I don't play. I used to play a little bit, but I stink. So
golf is very fun to turn on when you need a nap.
Yeah.
It's very peaceful. It's very calm. The voices are all very subdued and everything. And you open up a door, you get a nice spring breeze coming through the house, and that perfect napping conditions.
Yeah. I call it the ideal nap environment when it's like just a little chilly.
I'm getting sleepy just talking about it.
Oh man, that'll be me. I'm going to be tending to do school pickup here in a little bit, and I've had this bad habit of I get there, I park, and then I fall asleep in the car line.
Do people come and like knock on the window and scare you?
I don't fall asleep that long. It's for like a couple minutes, but yeah. People are asking about the Punisher. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
And he showed up in the Spider-Man trailer too. So
Have you been keeping up on Daredevil?
I am behind whatever. So they released the first one. Then did they release 2 in 1 week? I think
so. I'm trying to remember. I'm getting it mixed up with The Boys, which I haven't started that one either, but I know they dropped 2 at first. I think they did drop 2 of Daredevil. I'm behind on the most recent. I have not watched the most recent one.
I have not watched this week. Yeah, I saw the first 3 episodes, but have not seen since then. So yeah, I like it though. It's really fun. You know what I got really into? The Pit. Like
my wife is big into that.
Oh my god. It is, the way they do it is so smart, because it's basically if you took ER and combined it with 24, where it's every episode is an hour in the ER. But what they do is so episode 1 ends with, all right, we're bringing in this person who, cut their hand off. And then it's like, well, I got to see what happened with the person who cut their hand off. So then you watch, and then they go into the, then you're pulled into the next episode, right? So it's like, all right, I'll start one and watch it there. And I am, somebody asked what off-season previews I put up. I'm behind on some of them. And I had to make a rule today. I can't watch The Pit until I catch up on writing. So
that's your incentive.
Yeah, and then I did two podcasts this morning and like 3 radio hits. So like I've gotten nothing done. But the pit is really, really good. Really good. So it's like I might break my rule and watch some more later.
My wife really likes it. I can't do it. I can't do the very heavy dramas. And I hate
that's the only one I watch.
Hate medical shows. Hate them. The only one that I like is St. Dennis because it's not real.
Oh, so that's funny.
It's just funny. It's like The Office, but it's in a hospital. So that's, to me, it's fine. It's lighthearted and stuff. It's the stuff that drives me crazy. And I know it's supposed to be like real life, but it's when you're watching like the Grey's Anatomy stuff, where these people who are responsible for saving people's lives are like completely absorbed in their own personal stuff. And that's like the crux of it. It drives me insane. I'm like, and then it's just everything is so heavy and so emotional. I'm like, I don't want to watch I just can't do the super dramatic stuff right now.
My aunt was the head charge nurse in an emergency department, pretty big one back home in Massachusetts. And she was like, the nurses gossip worse than like the high school. She's like, that's all it is. And it's like, who's dating who and who's dating this person? So yeah, Scrubs was killer too for a hospital show. But those are comedies just based in a hospital show.
Exactly.
Hospital shows. But yeah, I like the pit. Yeah, I watched Wonder Man. Somebody just asked. Wonder Man was excellent. Really enjoyed it. Very happy it's getting another season.
I'm like halfway through it. I got to get to more of it.
Yeah, we're now to the point where off season's coming and it's going to be the playoffs. So I'm going to have to sorry, TV. I'll catch you again in August, and that'll be where we go. Maybe on Saturday I'll watch some stuff and try to get caught up.
And there's no NBA.
No NBA Saturday, so it's But somebody had asked one other thing. It was like an actual basketball thing, and now I can't find it. Where was it? Oh well.
Well, we should head off to the weekend. We've got a lot going on today.
Oh, here it was. Sorry. I knew it was about the Celtics and the tax. Will they officially stay under the tax? Yes. They timed everything out. They'll sign somebody probably tomorrow. They can do it tomorrow and stay under the tax. Might be Sunday and just do one day.
When's the last day to sign somebody to be playoff eligible?
Sunday.
What's that?
Sunday. Yep. Sunday before
before the last game start.
Yep. That'll be your last day. So, and then they'll be all playoff ready. Daredevil season 2 is a lot like season 1. I think it's just good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. All right, everybody. Well, kind of a fun show. We got some breaking news. We didn't spin the wheel.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Let's see who's got some lottery luck here.
Yeah.
Before we go, let's see who gets some lottery luck.
While you're pulling that up, because this was the other one. How much salary do you have to match when you're under the tax? It doesn't really change. It's still basically the same thing. But remember, wherever you are today, that ends on July 1. Like you're only there through the end of this league year. Then everything resets on July 1.
All right, let's spin the wheel here.
Let's do it. One spin only.
Remember, Indy loses their pick if it's not in the top 4. Utah loses their pick if it's not in the top 8. Okay, here we go. Oh, why? Oh no, Dallas moves up 5 spots. Get out of here with that. Get out of here. And then New Orleans gives their pick to Atlanta at 3. The Hawks have got to be happy with that. They move up 5 spots, and the Pacers lose their pick to the Clippers because it's the best possible scenario for the Clippers. The pick falls at 5.
Yeah. All right.
Happy for Washington.
Yep.
The rest I could. The Dallas at 2 thing is not cool. And then the Pacers basically betting a coin flip that they get to keep their pick or not. In this case, they called heads and it comes up tails. But
they get Zubac, so they're happy to put Zubac with Hallie at the start of next year. And did you see he played 5-on-5 for the first time?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did see that. I did see that.
Pretty cool. He is at think they said he's at 41 weeks now since his injury. So he's kind of on the Tatum-ish timeline. But he's not coming back because their season ends in 2 days on Sunday. So, all right, guys. 15 games tonight, 15 games on Sunday. Everybody
Let's
plays.
go.
Yeah, lock in to still a lot to be decided seeding wise. So should be a fun couple of days to wrap up the season.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Have a great weekend. Till Monday. See ya. And stay safe.